All right, so today we are writing equations from a graph. It's the opposite kind of how we graphed it. So you still have to identify two pieces. You have to get the y-intercept and the slope, because remember we're using this formula, y equals mx plus b, where the b is your y-intercept. We usually use lowercase b. And the m is your slope, okay? So if we're looking at this line right here, we need to figure out the y-intercept first. So I'm going to look at the y-axis and see where my line crosses it. Looks like it hits right here at this blue dot. So my y-intercept is at 1. Now what I'm going to do is from this y-intercept, I'm actually just going to follow the line until it hits the corners of the boxes. It looks like it hits right here. So wherever I can easily identify a point, I'm just going to go ahead and put a dot there. So then I want to count my slope. So starting at the left point, going to the right point, I would have to actually go down 2. So that would be a rise of -2 and then over 1. So my rise is -2, my run is 1. That's the same thing as just -2. Then I'm going to substitute these two things in for the m and the b in this equation. So I have y equals my slope, which is m of -2, and my b, which is a +1. If this was a -1, I would put -1 instead. So I do want to mention, if for some reason your graph goes through the origin or the center of it, which is 0, 0, then technically your b value is 0, and so you wouldn't really write that. You wouldn't put like +0 here at the end, because it's not going to change the value. All right, so let's look at a different one. All right, so on this one, we're going to start with our y-intercept, so where it hits the y. If you notice, it hits right here. So our y-intercept is at -2. Then I'm going to follow my line until it hits the corner of the boxes. Looks like it hits right here. In this case, my slope would be 3 over 1, because I'd have to rise 3 and run 1. 3 divided by 1 is just 3. I do want to mention, if you have a fraction that cannot simplify, just leave it as a fraction. And then we're going to replace the m and b here with what we found. Our slope was 3, so our m is 3. Our b was -2. So it'll be -2 here at the end. All right. Now these are slightly different. These are vertical lines. Remember, all vertical lines are x equals a number. So if I look, this one is hitting the x-axis at -3. So this would be x equals -3. So on this one, x is being hit on the axis here at +3. So this would be x equals +3. Meaning all the points on this top line have x values of -3. All the points on this bottom line have x values that are +3. The y equals a number are very, very similar, so let's look at those. As if my scrolling will let me. All right, so my y equals is very, very similar. So in this case, it hits the y-axis right here at 1, so this would be y equals 1. Technically this is a 0 slope, so you could also give me y equals 0x plus 1, but 0 times x is just 0, so this equation is actually the one I would prefer. It's just a little bit more concise. So then this horizontal line is hitting the y-axis at -4, so this would be y equals -4. All right, so then I want you to try these last few on your own, and then just kind of check it and see if you got it right. All right, so pause it and try this one. All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to try it. If I look at the y-axis, it's hitting right here at -2. So if I actually am labeling my stuff to make this easier to keep track of, my b value is -2. Then if I follow it to get to the next point, it's actually a little hard to see down here. So I'm actually going to follow it the other way. So it looks like it hits right here. So if I start at the left point and go to the right point, it looks like I had to go down 3 and over 1. So since I had to go down, it's a -3 over 1 or -3. So this should be the equation y equals -3x minus 2. All right, so again, I want you to kind of pause, try these 3 real quick, and then unpause it to check your work. All right, so on this one right here, Our y-intercept is right here at +1. And then if I look, the next place it looks like it hits the corners, maybe right here. It doesn't matter which 2 points you pick. I usually would go ahead and put the y-intercept as one of them. So if I count my rise over run, it looks like I have to rise 3 and then run 2. So my slope's going to be 3 over 2. And then I'm going to write my equation. So that would be 3 over 2x plus 1, because that was a +1. So on number 3 here, we have a horizontal line. It hits the y-axis at -2. So this will be y equals -2. Because remember, this is a 0 slope. And then our last one, it hits the x-axis right here at +4. So it'll be x equals 4, because this is a vertical line with an undefined slope.